welcome to a very, very special show. They say prevention is better than cure, which is why this show, because it's all about safety, or rather the safety science aspect, which is something that we didn't really think about when we were growing up as kids, because we didn't think safety was a science. But we do now, because it's very, very important. And this special show, which is basically all about safety, and it's going to be labeled the Safety Parliament, because we have, let's say, the citizens of our parliament, and of course, those who've been elected in a sense to handle those problems that are there. They are with us, and all of this is being done under the aegis or blessings of Underwriters Laboratories, of course, in association with NDTV. And it's once again something that we focus on. We try to emphasize on the aspect of safety, especially when we talk about children. And this time, we're touching upon two major issues. The first needs no introduction. It's all about pollution. Air pollution, to be specific, how it's harming all of us, and especially children. And the second is to do with cyber safety, to do with children or teenagers. And to talk about that, we have not just children from the 4 zones of India, welcome, but we also have guests or masters of these particular 2 topics. So let's just introduce them to you right now. Dr. Dipankar Saha, who is the Additional Director and Head of Air Laboratory and Air Quality Division of the CPCB, the Central Pollution Control Board. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Polash Mukherjee, who is the Senior Research Associate for Clean Air and Sustainable Mobility at the Center for Science and Environment. Thank you so much. Suresh Sugavanam, the Vice President and Managing Director, UL South Asia. Without you, it would not have been possible, this discussion. Thank you so much. Dr. Amit Sen, he has been practicing as the child psychiatrist for the last 20 years. I'm already scared of him, kids. And you have the DCP, Anjesh Roy. He is the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Cybercrime Unit, Delhi. We'll be talking to them in just a bit, but first, it's important to just understand pollution. The Indian Medical Association, for example, it declared pollution a public health emergency. And in 2015, a report was published which estimated that PM 2.5, which is, remember, 30 times thinner than 1 strand of your hair, so you don't even know when you breathe it in, it contributed to 4.2 million deaths globally, a majority of which occurred in India and China. If that is not enough, then what is? That's the question we're asking. So let's just get started with our guests and try and get a sense from them about what really can be done when you talk about pollution in the current times. So if I could get started with Dr. Dipankar Saha, the CPCB, sir, is basically constituted by the government, the central government, in a sense, and it's run by them. You have your own funds, but let's face it, even your own funds are not enough to actually tackle the huge and vast problem of pollution, because what you're, in a sense, doing is measuring pollution, not really tackling it. Am I right?
You are not correct. Because we are the only body where all the acts and regulations are created. The emission norms are created by us. And we are the advisory to the Government of India. We are the research organization.
Then why do we still have pollution?
Our activities is our pollution. The emission causes the pollution. The development causes the pollution. The side effects of development is pollution. And the solution of that pollution is, of course, the dilution.
Pulash, while the CPCB has been entrusted with those 2 responsibilities of not just controlling and measuring, but also preventing the pollution, I want to understand from you, is it happening on the ground?
That is happening in parts, but there needs to be a greater coordination in the efforts that's happening. There needs to be an overarching body, countries like the US or Europe, the EPA. EPA is an autonomous body that has the authority to advise even the government and the private parties on what to do and what not to do. And this is not advice, this is a directive of sorts. Yeah. That is what perhaps is not happening.
We need one umbrella organization that can basically say, do this, and everyone has to follow suit. And that's the Supreme Court, which has also made some very startling claims about pollution.
Very true.
Still, implementation hasn't happened.
Very true. Just to put it in very bluntly, we know what the problems are. We know what the solutions have been for 30 years now.
But they're not happening.
The problem is in getting them into place.
Okay. All right, Suresh, if I could bring you in right now. Punjab basically has a problem of farmers, and the captain, the CM of Punjab, has made it very clear that he's not going to annoy his farmers. You know, he's not going to do that. But at the same time, he has to penalize them. He has to do something so that they stop stubble burning. At the same time, Mr. Kejriwal, the Delhi CM, asked for a meeting with the captain. That didn't happen. So I'm asking you, as a citizen of India, what do we do when getting all these different stakeholders together is basically impossible?
For the only way possible, frankly, is not a short-term solution, but unfortunately a longer term. Collaborative problem solving happens only over time. And for that is what independent parties such as UL, we actually have been doing this multiple times over decades in multiple countries.
Okay.
And the only way possible is to bring all the relevant stakeholders, convene, not intervene.
All right, let's get the audience, or rather the young kids who are basically the worst affected. I want to ask the South Zone to actually go ahead and ask their question first. The South Zone?
My question is to Dr. Shaha. To curb pollution, is it possible to incentivize the polluting factories to go greener? For example, by giving them tax benefits?
It's a good suggestion. It is already there. There is a penalty also. Polluters pay principle is there. Environmental awards are given, and it is improvisation program, the technology improvement program, pollution curtailing program. It is already there.
All right, let's ask the East Zone.
My question is to Mr. Pulash. Can we use air filters in street lights so that it can absorb all the air and then purify it? And street lights are like every 100 meters.
Very good question. This is a solution that has been thought of in other countries. Unfortunately, this will have limited effect. But even if you have enough number of street poles that do the purifying, your sources of unclean air continue to be present. And the only way forward, perhaps, would be to attack the sources of pollution. Stop it at the source.
From the Red Zone, or rather, if I can say the North Zone, to ask that question.
My question is to Mr. Pulash. In cities like Singapore and London, if the car enters in the city center, they are tagged automatically as there is a tag on their windshield. Can't we do this in India?
It's a very good question again. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has now made it compulsory that all new cars, if you buy a new car anytime this year, you will see on the top left side of the windshield there is a chip. So that electronic chip is supposed to monitor your entry and exit into the city. Unfortunately, we don't have the infrastructure to go with it.
Okay.
But we are moving towards something like that. It's a very good suggestion.
So my question is to Mr. Dipankar Saha. Likewise, we have the Swachh Bharat campaign for the land pollution part. So can we have a Swachh Hawa campaign for spreading awareness related to air pollution?
Of course. So this is the platform. You have started already doing that activity. Already you have started doing. You people will be the volunteer to control, to spread the message, what we need to do, what we need not to do.
Then Dr. Saha, if you want to just summarize this discussion with the intent of action, and I'll start with myself. I'm going to talk to all my friends in Delhi and ask them to not buy diesel cars. That's what I'm going to do. What is your intent of action? And
air is our resource,
Yeah.
okay? First of all, we need to conceive by heart that we will not pollute it.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the diesel is also a product. And there is a product quality should be maintained.
Okay, interesting.
Number three is that we must think my fuel is efficiently burned.
Okay, Suresh, 1 point, one intent of action that you do.
Okay, what I commit on behalf of UL is we will continue to start convening the relevant stakeholders so that there is a longer term solution to this problem, not just short term. How? You just have to get the relevant agencies, get them in a room.
In one room. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sir, I'm going to give you the opportunity also.
Right. So I'm going to encourage in my own small way people to take public transport and make sure if they're and if they're going to places together, carpool rather than go in their individual cars.
Okay. Traffic cops are some people who suffer the most when it comes to pollution. So what is your suggestion?
Our intent of action would be that we need to use more technology to ensure that vehicular traffic, the need for movement is restricted to that extent. We can have video conferencing. So many things are there.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Sir, that's great. Pulash?
I am going to be aware of the ways I contribute to pollution.
Okay.
I'm going to walk to my friend's house and not take my car or not take my two-wheeler.
Okay.
I'm going to ask questions about why rules are not being followed in my house or in my society.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So it has been quite an interesting discussion on pollution. I'm sure these kids have learned something, and you're going to borrow those intent of actions that have been stated and probably try and implement them yourselves, as will I. But now it's time for our second discussion. It's all about cybersecurity or cyber safety for teenagers and children. We will talk about that after a very short break, so don't go anywhere.